So I'm seeing a whole lot of people Monday morning quarterback the election and a lot of people telling us where we went wrong. I'm seeing mainstream news outlets just really laying into Democrats and saying, this is where you guys blew it. And if you'll notice, it's always up to us to reflect on who we are. It's always up to us to put in the good work and figure out how to message to people better. But the mainstream media never one time after January 6th came out and said, you know what, maybe MAGA needs to reflect. Maybe they need to reflect on who they are. Maybe they need to go back to the drawing board. Instead, we got told, what did you guys do to agitate them? Wait a minute, look at this picture over here, this video over here of people being peaceful. We were gaslit the entire time, and the mainstream media set and sane washed Donald Trump. They set and sane washed his message. They set and gave him a pass for everything, meanwhile beating Joe Biden into the ground over a stutter. And now they're trying to Monday morning quarterback it and say, oh, well, if Joe Biden had just stayed in, if you'd have just had an open primary, if Kamala had just did more. But I've never heard them say that MAGA ever needed to do anything different. It's always like we're the ones that needs to work on ourselves. And we do. We absolutely do need to work on our messaging. And I think we're going forward, we're going to do just that. But I'm just saying, it's very annoying to always have it laid on us to do that, and you never hear the Piers Morgans of the world ask the right wing to do that. He's always just looking at us going, what'd you guys do to get them upset? So we are going to reflect on things, and this article here that I found on the Meidas Touch Network, written by Ron Filipkowski, brings across a really great point as to what we could do moving forward without sitting and pointing the blame right now and trying to pass the buck off to somebody else. I think he makes a really good point, and I want to bring it up here and read this to you. The right supports a network of conferences, podcasters, and rallies, and the left has MSNBC. So Ron says this: imagine every week somewhere in America there is an event featuring nationally prominent Democratic elected officials, TV personalities, celebrities, artists, state and local officials, candidates, podcasters, journalists, and social media influencers. A one-day or weekend event sponsored and hosted by different organizations, each with their own group of speakers in different states all year round. That is what the Republican Party has had in place for a decade to recruit, build, inspire, organize, and motivate their base. The Democrats have MSNBC. And since I have attended, watched, and covered these events on the right for years now, I'm often asked why the right has embraced these so enthusiastically while the left has virtually nothing of the equivalent. My theory always was that Republicans enjoy doing things in groups and Democrats are more individualistic. But every time I would mention that while speaking to a group of activists, their response was always the same: I would like to go something like that. And I would like to pause from this article just for a minute to say that I've said so many times that it is harder to get people on our side to come together because we're not necessarily people that likes to do things in groups, and we all have an individual way of seeing things. We often disagree on our side. That's a strength, but at times it can be a weakness. At the same time, it can cost us elections. I won't call it a weakness. I will say that it can definitely cost us elections. But I really think Ron is onto something in this article. So let's get back to it. Drop on down here. Democrats do some of this in the final months of a major election campaign, but it's nothing like the network that the right has created. Sure, we all have made fun of these events. Many of the speakers at right-wing conferences are nutty conspiracy theorists, Christian nationalists, charlatans, and grifters, and people who attend them can be fairly culty, but they are effective. While Democrats laugh at them or criticize them for what is taking place, they're doing nothing on their own to counter it. Let's say in a few months after the mourning period is over for 2024, a major conference was announced in a major city or a swing state that featured Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, Wes Moore, Andy Beshear, hell yes, please Andy Beshear, Eric Swalwell, Jared Moskowitz, Jasmine Crockett, AOC, along with a few celebrities of the entertainment industry, TV news commentators, journalists, podcasters, and social media influences. Would you go to that if that was in your state? Although the formats vary, most of these conferences on the right play a play out a similar way using CPAC Turning Point USA model pioneered by Matt Schlapp and Charlie Kirk. Early on, they feature panels of 3 to 4 speakers discussing a specific topic for 30 to 60 minutes, taking questions from the audiences. Then speakers begin with local officials, then podcasters and influencers, then TV hosts, then celebrities, then the headliner politicians being featured. They talk about what's on their mind, what they think people need to do, propose their new ideas and vision. Panel topics for one of these conferences on the left could be, why are we losing men under 40? Why are Latino voters disillusioned with Democrats? How can we talk about abortion in a way that doesn't alienate Christians? Democrats need to articulate a border policy. What should it look like? Trans athletes and competitive sports. I'm sure we could think of many more. And the panelists could be chosen who are experts in those areas, but also have a diversity of thought amongst them. It would actually be critically important for every attendee to feel that they can share their thoughts and ideas without being shouted down or attacked. Honestly, that is a serious problem on the left. If you step out of line with a certain orthodoxy, people are often branded racist, misogynistic, transphobic, homophobic, or they don't care or empathize with a particular person's group or plight because they have a different opinion about an issue that person is passionate about. These conferences need to be a safe space where orthodoxies and conventional wisdom can be challenged and debated. People can disagree, argue their points passionately, hash things out, and still part ways as friends. Those kind of things happen on the right, but not so much on the left, where people have great ideas, new approaches, new perspectives, different perspectives, but are afraid to share them with fear of being shouted down, scorned, or tagged with a label. The right invests in these kind of conferences and events, spends millions of dollars on them advertising venues and speakers' fees. But over time, they have been so well attended with attendees buying tickets and advertising and sponsors lining up that they now turn a healthy profit for the people who run them. While you don't have to pay for an elected official or candidate who just wants to face time with activists, speakers lower down the food chain need to travel paid for and modest fees for their time. People don't have to attend in person anymore. These events are live streamed on X, Instagram, Facebook Live, Rumble, YouTube. Get a lot of coverage on Fox, Newsmax, Real America's Voice, Right Side Broadcasting, and other right-wing channels. Hundreds of thousands of people on the right watch these conferences from home on their phones week after week. So I could keep going with this article, but I think you guys definitely get the point that Ron's trying to make here. They came together and built this platform and built this campaign and have been running on it for a long time. And yes, we can sit here and point out all the things that it is. We can point out how crazy some of the speakers are. We can point out how wrong they have it in so many ways. But if we never have anything to counteract that, if we never have an event that counters that, and we never can get people motivated to go to something like that, then we're going to see more of the same, I'm afraid. So I think he makes a really good point in that article. You can go read the whole thing at MeidasNews.com and reflect and think about that. But I would love to see the Democratic establishment reach out to more pro-democracy channels and movements and influencers. I have saw some politicians interviewed on the Meidas Touch Network and the Democratic side, and I've saw some interviewed by Brian Tyler Cohen. But I heard Brian Tyler Cohen talk about how hard it is for him to get someone to come sit down and talk with him, and how hard he has to work to just get them to sit down and have a conversation. I think the Democratic establishment needs to sit down with more people like Brian Tyler Cohen, the Meidas Touch Network, hear from the influence and hear what we have to say. Because I think that's how you can't just come in if these people are doing this constantly for years, just constantly doing this every week, every day. And we could sit and shout, but it's wrong. They got it all wrong, Brando. They're this, they're that. I get all that. But it was effective. It worked. Donald Trump gets on a microphone even when he's losing and claims that he's winning. He gets on a microphone even when he's doing terrible and claims that he's doing good. And we try to come in at the last few months leading up to an election, and then they get on the microphone. And yeah, the DNC was a clown, or not the DNC, the RNC was an absolute clown show this year. You had Hogan ripping off the shirt. You had the one guy coming out with a little dog. It looked like a WWE event. But on the other hand, ours didn't really feature people from the pro-democracy movement. It didn't feature social media influencers. It didn't feature people like that. And it didn't resonate with enough people. So I think we just have to take a look in the mirror and realize, hey, we can do things. And I would be honored to go to any event like that and stand up and talk on what I feel needs to happen. I would love to talk right before Andy Beshear, because I just feel like as an Appalachian, our voices sometimes are the last ones heard. I've always felt that way, and that's the one thing that when I hear people on the right say that they don't care about us, I've always tried to point to them and say, yeah, but Donald Trump sure as hell don't care about you, and he's grifting you and he's using you. But I can't lie. There's times that I feel as though people like us are forgotten. So I would like to see more people and more voices like that lifted up, and I would like to see us move forward and have these kind of events. And the question I have to you, my audience, is, would you go to an event like that? Would you? Because look, our daughter's future's on the line. Our democracy is threatened like never before. Everything's on the line right now. If there ever was a time to get motivated to go to things like this, now's the time. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Let me know if you agree with Ron's article and what you would like to see us do moving forward. I don't want to sit here and show you clips of Trump being an asshole. We know he's an asshole. We know it wasn't a deal breaker for anyone in Maga, so we don't have to look at it. But what we can look at is ourselves and what we can do to move forward. And I would be elated to see events like that happen. Even if I was never invited to one and I sat back over here and just played you the clips of it happening, that's what I would like to see happen. I would like to see people connect, and like he said, do so in a way where they don't feel threatened. It is a safe space to come and collaborate and bring those ideas together, and people don't just get labeled things because we disagree. So let's just try to keep moving this conversation forward. And there's one thing I would like to say. I've never called anyone a racist because they disagreed with me. I've never called anyone, a racist over politics. I've called them that when they were that. But we do need to get away from a lot of the knee-jerking that happens. And we have to get down to the actual conversation. Because until we do that, we're going to be stuck, unfortunately, going in circles. So I feel like that we can make progress. I feel like that things could get better, but we have to have a grassroots movement, and we have to come together, even though we're going to have opposing ideas. And I could so understand how that, in MAGA land, it's easy to get them together. It's easy to get everybody to go to the WWE event. You know who has the hardest time going to the WWE event? My dad, who says that's not a real fight. I want to go to a boxing match. I don't want to go to that fake fight. So it's easy to get people geared up and ready to go to the Jerry Springer style event because they're all on the same page. And while we may not always be on the same page, we're going to have to find a way to realize that we're in the same book and we want the same outcome, that we want the same results in the end. And if we can do that, then we should be able to have these kind of events, sit down, agree, disagree, and move forward. So I hope that made sense. And like I said, let me know what you feel about this in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and get us over 400,000. We're almost there. Let's see where we're at, folks. We're at 393,000. 7,000 away from hitting 400,000 subscribers here on the channel. And I just put that plaque for 100,000 behind me back in March or April. So yeah, you guys helped me get there. You helped me build this, and I want to continue to build it and make it as strong as we possibly can. Shout out to the Meidas Touch Network for all their help and support and helping me to build this to what it's become. They're the best group of guys that I could ever hope to work with and for. And so, yeah, I would like to see future presidential nominees sitting down talking with them. Go talk with Adam Mockler, talk with Texas Paul. I'll talk to you. Somebody give Andy Beshear my number. Let's come together. Let's talk. Let's make this a better place. We can get past this, but in order to do so, we've got to come together. So just think on it and let's move forward.